Welcome back, Nerd Squad, to Top 10 Nerd. I'm your host, Johnny Rogers. If you happen to be new here, we put out daily content on all things nerdy, so if you're down with that, then tap that subscribe button. There are so many overpowered superheroes out there, and in our opinion, they need to be stopped, so we continue that theme with today's video. Make sure you leave us a comment down below with which super you think is way too strong for the MCU, and you'll want to stay all the way until the end because you won't believe what our #1 pick is. Now let's jump into today's list of the top 10 overpowered DC superheroes who need to be stopped. In at number 10, The Flash. Let's get this out of the way straight off the top. The entire Justice League, minus Batman, is way too overpowered and they need to be stopped. Having The Flash in your team is the shining example of what an overpowered hero looks like. He can run faster than the speed of light and as a result is known as the fastest man alive. This simple overpowered ability is the focus because it allows for The Flash to do ridiculous things. He can run through walls, run up buildings, and even throw a punch at a super speed. Although it's not his combat that should be troubling for us normies, it's the fact that he can move so fast that he can travel through time. We all know that time travel in any sense has never turned out to have all positive results. The negative effects have even been felt after The Flash did this in the comic books, and I'm sure we wouldn't want that to be our reality. In at number 9, Green Lantern. Much like the Hulk, Hal Jordan actually becomes stronger from fighting with his enemies. Typically the Green Ring will drain its user's willpower, but Hal seems unaffected by this. Even if he's becoming overwhelmed by an opponent, he can easily defeat them with surges of his undefeatable will. On top of all that, the Green Ring allows for him to create anything from his thoughts into actual physical objects. For the most part, the Green Lantern's power is reserved for defending the universe, but even so, it's far too much power for a human like Hal to take on. Thankfully, if things did go sideways and we really wanted to stop him, all it would take is the color yellow. We know it sounds crazy, but that is actually the Green Lantern's weakness, so make sure you keep a stockpile of bananas real close. In at number 8, Superman.
You think you can threaten my mother?
Arguably one of the strongest characters in the DC world, Superman is beyond ready with a host of superpowers to prepare him for any given situation. Superman is often held as the pinnacle of justice and moral superiority, which is perhaps one of his more annoying superpowers. Although the more threatening side to him that should be stopped is his ability to live forever and fire friggin' laser beams from his eyes. Again, all of these overpowered abilities are in regards to these heroes operating on Earth, and the comic books have played with this idea before, for example the time that Superman just decided to take over the entire Earth and establish a dictatorship. Hope you have your kryptonite ready because we're going to stop Superman altogether. In at number 7, Supergirl. Who's more overpowered than Superman, you ask? Well, how about his cousin Kara Zor-El? Due to Kara also being a child of Krypton, she maintains all of the same powers and abilities as Superman, making them physical equals. However, even so, it's been argued that the last daughter of Krypton may be a little bit stronger than her cousin. Several times the two of them have even teamed up against villains, and repeatedly they have commented on her greater strength. Although they could have been trying to mess with Superman's brain, but if you look into her strengths, they may be right on the mark with that one. Supergirl needs to be stopped because the last thing that we would want is a family of supers from Krypton showing off on Earth. In at number 6, SHAZAM.
It kind of tickles.
Look, just because this overpowered superhero's name sounds like something a magician would say before pulling a rabbit out of a hat doesn't mean we shouldn't take him seriously. Each letter in his name stands for a different Greek mythological entity, those being Solomon, Hercules, Atlas, Zeus, Achilles, and Mercury. Want to get really scared of this superhero? He is so powerful that he was able to be ripped apart by the vacuum of space and then completely bring himself back together. On top of being able to transform from the body of a child into a superhero just by saying the word Shazam, he also practices magic. I mean, with a name like that, how could you not, right? Well, in terms of DC Comics, those who are proficient in magic often gain significant advantages over all other powers. In at number 5, Martian Manhunter. First off, anyone who introduces themselves as a Martian Manhunter needs to be stopped. How has this odd alien mixture of Batman and Superman been allowed to roam free? Martian Manhunter is so ridiculously overpowered that he has even been nicknamed the Swiss Army knife superhero. His powers are evenly matched with Superman, but with some extra abilities kind of sprinkled in. Along with heat vision, the Manhunter can also see in different spectrums, which means even if someone was using invisibility, he could spot them. Now, if you think that's too much power, let's not forget that he can also read minds, shapeshift, and access telekinesis. To top it all off as to why this overpowered DC superhero needs to be stopped, the only evidence required is that Superman himself has said Manhunter is the only Justice League member that he fears. Thankfully, there's only one of him left. In at number 4, Captain Atom.
I control radiation, Superman. That includes red sun radiation.
Also known as Nathaniel Atom, he was a United States Air Force officer during the Vietnam War. After being framed for a crime that he did not commit, Nathaniel was sentenced to death, but was first invited to take part in a military experiment. The experiment was sure to kill him, but if he were somehow able to survive, he would receive a presidential pardon. And after surviving the experiment of putting him in an alien spacecraft and setting off a nuclear bomb under it with Atom inside, the metal fused with his body and launched him 20 years into the future. Now with his atomic powers, he can control the quantum field, absorb cosmic energy, and do everything a superhero can do in regards to invulnerability, super speed, and flight. Although listen to this statement from Captain Atom and it will be all the evidence you need for why he needs to be stopped. He says, "My name is Captain Atom, as in A-bomb, as in nuclear fission, as in the end of the world." Yeah, he said that. Stop him, somebody. In at number 3, Dr. Manhattan.
Something lethal. Or if I know what that means.
After appearing in The Watchmen and the recent events of DC Rebirth, the once nuclear physicist named Dr. Jonathan Osterman became an official member of the DC universe, although it's his godlike identity of Dr. Manhattan that we should be fearful of. A terrible accident in an intrinsic field subtractor had completely transformed him into the blue anti-hero that we must now stop. The Doctor is impervious to all assaults, can manipulate all atomic and subatomic particles, and does not need food or water to stay alive. Wow. He doesn't need food or water to stay alive. Like, how are we gonna stop this guy? The reason we should be suspicious of this overpowered superhero is that his actions make it difficult to classify whether or not he's good or evil. So, let's just stop him. In at number 2, Phantom Stranger. This overpowered superhero is a mysterious mystic who has walked the earth for centuries. Although he has only appeared a few times in the comic books, when he did show up, you knew that something big was going to happen. The Phantom Stranger has a ridiculous amount of superpowers that seems to never end, with his magical abilities really knowing no bounds. Aside from being immortal, he can generate energy bolts, teleport, and even stop other magic in its tracks. His real name is Judas, and after having a big hand in killing the Son of God, he was, for whatever reason, gifted with all of these abilities. With all of those powers though, Judas is unable to directly interfere with the crisis and is implored to only guide the heroes. God forbid one day he attempts to overrule this stipulation, we would be in for a world of hurt. Lastly, in our number 1 spot, the Spectre. Before becoming this overpowered hero, the Spectre was Jim Corrigan, a Gotham City police detective. When his fiancée Gwen was kidnapped, the Phantom Stranger guided him to where she was being held. Unfortunately for Jim, it was a trap, and soon his soul would be imbued with divine powers, dubbing him the Spectre. Spectre is another one of those heroes that have near unlimited powers, and on top of that, he's a supernatural being tied to a human host on a mission to strike fear in villains around the world. He literally has shown how destructive these powers can be when we saw him completely obliterate an entire universe in a blink of an eye. Now ask yourself, is this the kind of power that a human should have? Yeah, we didn't think so either. And that has been the top 10 overpowered DC superheroes who need to be stopped. Thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, show us some love by tapping that like and subscribe button. Plus leave us a comment down below with your thoughts on this list. And for more videos like this one, all you gotta do is click that playlist on your screen. From Top 10 Nerd, I'm Johnny Rogers. Until next time, take care.